consistent effort over time. If that consistent effort is never there in your team, you're never going to make a dime. But if you figure out how to develop leaders, you'll win all day long.
This episode is brought to you by Curry Russell of OneDNAKit.com, where you can learn more about our HIPAA-compliant DNA testing process and obtain your own personalized DNA, nutrition-based, entirely on what your body needs. The end-of-line nutrition and expensive nutrition are here. The fastest way to contact Curry is 304-812-2183 or Curry, that's C-U-R-R-Y, at OneDNAKit.com. Welcome back to the Prospecting Show. Today we have Curry Russell on the show. How are you?
Doing real well, Connor. How are you?
Awesome. So to kind of lay the land here, to get the framework going, give us some background on where you came from and kind of what you're doing now.
Sure. So I'm from a really small town in West Virginia. I left town a long time ago, joined the Army, jumped out of planes, went to war in Afghanistan, got out, was living life in Tennessee and moved back to West Virginia. And many years after I was in the military, a buddy reached out to me on Facebook and introduced me to an idea. And I fell in love with the process. And over the last 5 or 6 years, I've become a professional network marketer and started building businesses and have had a great time.
And so for the people who don't necessarily know what network marketing is, I know there are some people who have an idea of it, but in your words, could you explain what that model looks like for the people who don't quite get it?
Absolutely. So it is more or less word of mouth marketing. So a person who finds a product through a friend, like a jewelry or a nutrition product or a vacation club or whatever, they find a product through a friend and the company doesn't pay advertising methods. They literally do word of mouth marketing by enlisting an army of volunteers who get a piece of the pie every time somebody sells one of their piece of the product. And if you go out and share it through your own organization, you can start building that leveraged income where the money keeps rising up to you and through you. So it's just a great way of creating real leveraged residual income.
And what would you say the biggest outcome has been for you so far now that you've been doing this a little while?
I've been on the cover of a magazine. I've earned a Audi. I've built a team of over 8,000 people in a year. I've been at the forefront of a couple company launches and had some great success by being consistent. So I've had a lot of fun. I've made some of the best friends I've ever had in the world in network marketing. They've become my family. So I will say that it's become the greatest part of my life.
And for the people who are maybe on the fence, right? They've had a network or multi-level marketing kind of individual come to them and say, this is the product we have, this is the model, and they're kind of on the fence. What would you tell them to, those people that are sitting there waiting to make a decision? What's going to push them over the edge and kind of convince them that this is the right model for them?
Honestly, I'm going to be really blunt. If you don't see yourself being passionate about the product, don't do it. If you can't be behind it 100%, like for example, I could never sell candles. Like I would just never be excited about candles. I could never sell jewelry. That's just not for me. Like that's not the thing that's going to drive my excitement. But I can, so I have to be in something 100% mentally to be excited about it, to want to share it with other people.
And for you, when you started kind of going down this pathway of network marketing or multi-level or whatever it is that you want to call it, how did you decide this is the product that I want to go after? Like you probably had multiple people come to you or multiple friends or other individuals that were in different systems and you said, yeah, this is the one product that I want to do.
Actually, I actually wasn't presented network marketing ever until my buddy I was in the Army with, he presented it to me in 2012. And I said no for 2 years. And
Wow.
one day he just hit me when it was the right time. Life had changed. Life was going in a different direction and it was great. Everything was good. And he asked me to watch a video again. And I watched it and I said, I spent more money on these floating pool heaters, these little lily pad pool heaters that we literally threw in the trash the same year we got them. And I talked to my wife and I said, what would we lose? Let's try it. So we tried it. And honestly, the first 4 months that I was in the business, I didn't even know I was in a business. I joined because of the product and I fell in love with the product. I became passionate about the product. Then I wanted to share it with everybody. And so I highly recommend a person use a product first before you become a distributor of anything. That way you don't have that itch to quit because you don't like, why would you want to sell something you're not excited about? So try a product, use it, and if you like it, then share it with other people.
And what products are you selling right now? Give us, a URL or a link or something like that, or kind of a background on these products so that we can hear more about what it is you're actually representing.
So I represent the world's only, and I'm going to say only, DNA personalized supplement. So we actually we do a DNA test and you actually they check for 18 actionable SNPs in your DNA. And then they create a personalized supplement specifically to your DNA down to the milligram. So all of the vitamins and minerals and everything's, there's mostly organic. They can't, because some of the products are fielded from outside of the US. So they can't say that it's 100% organic, but it mostly is. And that product is unlike anything else in the marketplace where they say that it's personalized and they put your name on a little baggie. We actually, down to the milligram, your product is made after your DNA test. So it's like my wife's supplement is completely different than mine. We have our ingredients list. You can see exactly what's in it. So, but people can get more information at the number one, DNAkit.com.
Gotcha. And what would you say you noticed the biggest difference with? So you have this product, you test it, then you decide, yes, this is the product for me. I can get behind it and I can sell this product through, your methods. What have you noticed actually trying the product yourself? What kind of things have you benefited from?
One of the weirdest things for me is that I noticed that my joints don't hurt nearly as much. I spent time jumping out of airplanes, traveling, went to war. I used to have all these creaks in my joints walking up and down the stairs. And a lot of times I don't notice my joints ever hurting anymore. And last year, I even went through a really bad health scare with pancreatitis. And one of the I'm not saying it's, we don't heal anything. We don't, I don't ever want to make any kind of health claims. But for me, I see other people who have this health issue and they're dying. Like they're seriously going through a terrible situation. And they told me that I had necrosis on my pancreas. My doctor was seriously concerned. But for some reason, it's been September is when that happened. I feel great. Like life is like, I don't feel unhealthy. I don't know if it's made a difference in terms of giving my body the actual nutrients it needs and it's taking care of itself better, but I don't want to assume that it's going to do anything for anybody else. Like I want people to understand that this product is so distinct that it's going to do for you what it's going to do for you. Like your product's never going to do the same as mine because it's got different stuff in it.
Right. And other products that exist on the marketplace, at least for me coming from a chiropractic background and practicing for 2 years with that, one of the things that a lot of people talk about is the lack of custom healthcare, right? You go, you have diabetes. You all go, you get pretty much the same medication. There's a couple variations, but really at the basic level, they're the same thing. And then you go and you have another problem and there's kind of, 3 or 4 options, but again, they're basically the same pharmaceuticals or the same interventions. So with what you guys are doing, you kind of have this more custom approach where you're saying, well, that's not good enough, right? That itself is not a good enough solution. You have to take it one step further and make something that's a little bit more custom. And it's very, very interesting the way that things are transitioning over time right now, because everything's going custom, right? Clothing, shoes, healthcare, all these different pieces are getting very, very custom over time. And I think that's creating a better outcome. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with it, Connor. The point of the personalized is to get rid of the excess. Too many products out there right now, that they give you, 500 milligrams of this and 1,200 milligrams of that, and your body is like, I don't need any of that. Like, why are you putting this crap in my body? And then your kidneys have to filter out all the excess, and essentially you're paying for expensive urine. That was the very first thing that I noticed after I've got a brother who works for a major nutrition company, and I've taken their packs of pills before, and you get that neon green urine. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean to make your show gross, but
no. That's the way it is, right? You get that excess filtration. You're running the kidneys hard. Then what ends up happening is you're basically just peeing out, like you said, expensive urine, right? You're going to have that filtration out, especially on the water soluble side, right? If you take the fat solubles, A, D, E, and K, right? Vitamin A, D, E, and K. Those are fat soluble, so they're going to sit around for a little bit longer. But if you look at the water solubles, like the vitamin C's, you're right. You can pretty much shut the lights off and pee in the toilet, and it's going to be glowing. You know what I mean? That's actually it.
And that was the first thing that I noticed. We take 5 pills in the morning and 5 in the evening, and I mean I've been taking it for a year, and I've never had a single discoloration in my urine. And I was like, this is impossible. How could it? But it's all natural stuff. There's nothing funky in it, and your body is taking exactly what it needs based on your DNA discovery, like that profile.
Right. And with the model that you guys have, do you serve more consumers, or do you also go through healthcare channels where you're actually going through a physical therapist, a chiropractor, medical doctor, who's then reselling that to another consumer? What's the actual model there?
Strangely enough, I'm glad you asked that question. It's not my you're asking it at the very beginning of where we're actually adding to our direct-to-consumer market. So our network marketing channel has been Euphoria Science. Now we're moving towards a direct-to-clinical doses to medical professionals. And that's become my shift. My shift right now is actually showcasing this to chiropractors, wellness centers, fitness centers, spas, and what we've been able to do is we've actually put together a wholesale to retail side of this that is white labeled to the doctor. So let's say that Dr. Connor wanted his own DNA personalized supplements for his patients, his clients. They set it all up. I don't do any of the I don't try to explain it to you, Connor. I actually we just send you an invite to work with our medical board who puts that all together for your business in your practice, and they design it all for you. And doctors have the ability to even go in and say, I don't want my patient to have this piece of the puzzle. And so it's very, very personalized. And so my shift this year in 2020 is I'm doing a very hard push to show the very first few doctors, family practices, like I said, and I think it's going to be literally game changing for the whole industry. And I'm very cautious using the word game changing. I think that's overused. But when you have something that a doctor can stop selling, I know chiropractors are selling lots of third-party products that your body doesn't need. And when they can get this in front of a patient who actually has a need and go, look, it's designed for you, it's going to change all of it.
Yeah, and that's kind of a good point you make there, is that even healthcare providers who are, maybe even more educated than a typical individual who's pushing a product, they're sitting there and saying, well, I have this stack, right? And the stack is all the vitamins and minerals and whatever else is in there, buffers that are in a supplement. And then they're saying, take this is going to be the right thing for you. And I don't really blame the practitioner, because prior to probably 2, 3, 4 years ago, there hasn't really been a great alternative that's been publicly accessible, maybe a little bit longer than that, but there hasn't been a great opportunity for that. So most healthcare providers are focusing on what they know, which is other commercial brands like you're talking about that have 40 different supplements, and the provider saying, okay, you need vitamin, D, because it's the winter, you're going to need some magnesium, and you're going to need some vitamin K. And it's like, that sounds like a good concept, but if you can get that personalized level like you're talking about and have a B2B to C play where you're going to the physician and the physician's going to the patient and having the control over that particular product, I think that's a real winner for everybody, right?
It's going to be unbelievable. I think this year is going to be the test phase of the deployment. You find out who's going to be your first round testers in the marketplace. I think 2021, 2022 is going to be when you see mass appeal, and you have, this is available on a mass market scale. But I'm going to use a term, the end of blind nutrition is here. I mean, you don't have to just take a product off the shelf anymore. There are products that are available specifically designed for your body's needs.
Yeah, and the way that you kind of put that is really key, right? People might look at the products that you have and say they're more expensive, but at the end of the day, it's really about optimization of what you're getting, right? Again, filtering through the kidneys, not ideal to put a bunch of stuff in there that you don't need. And then also taking other supplements that you don't need. It doesn't matter how cheap they are. If you don't need them, you don't need them, right? With what you're doing, it sounds like you guys have a system in place that's going to be very, very efficient, and quality and price typically go together, right? The more expensive something is, for the most part, it's correlated with it because they're trying to extract stuff. With what you're doing, the cost of doing business with you guys is probably related to the fact that you guys have a custom opportunity, and custom is usually going to be a better fit for the patient, right?
Yeah, I can tell you right now, the machine alone, it's called the Nutritionator, that separates the formulas was millions and millions of dollars to design. And with the 20 plus years of software behind it, and the genetics people and the geneticists who developed the specific formulations for the cost you pay, in our direct to consumer market, we actually even have a path to free. So you can actually get this product entirely free for you based on some stipulations that we have. But I haven't paid for this product for me and my wife since we got started. But I got real excited about the nerd type stuff in this. You got a lot of the science, you got a lot of the technology, and I got real excited about it.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people kind of miss out on, is understanding that it's not just about the product or the people. It's both, right? You have to have good people selling good products to good end users. And especially when you're going to switch from this business to consumer or direct to consumer model into a pass-through model where you're going through a healthcare provider, you're getting an additional checkpoint there where the provider's saying, I had the education, I see what you're doing. You're the product expert yourself, but I'm the clinical expert. And so together we can have an even better outcome for the patient. It's really like two people helping one, as opposed to us all kind of just in a circle together, right? It's a lot more efficient.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that our company has designed a platform for taking our distributors who are certified. You have to be certified to sell to a practice through our practitioner program. And what they've essentially done is just made our people lead generators so the company can answer all the questions, the medical board, the genetic board. They can give them everything they need, because they don't want, the hillbilly from West Virginia going up to the doctor and trying to explain nutrigenomics. That'd be just silly. Even though I have, for a year, deep dived into nutrigenomics, I don't know how to have that conversation. So like today, I stopped my local chiropractor outside the bank and just gave him 5 seconds and said, hey, I want you to take a look at this. And he's going to go have a conversation with them. And I got out of the way. So it's an incredible business model to help reach so many more people.
And to kind of wrap this whole thing up, what would you say is the two questions for you? One, as a provider, why would somebody do this? Let's start with that question. They already have supplements, they already have patients. Why would they choose you guys? What's the number one reason?
To end that blind nutrition. Why give your patients something they actually don't need? Just because you can make a commission off of it. Don't give something to somebody they don't need. Give them something their body actually needs by, scientifically proven based on white papered results. That these are specific nutrients for that specific person.
Right. And then number two, for individuals who are interested in the model, right, with what you're doing, what is the best way for them to contact you specifically?
I'll give them my phone number. They can call me.
Sure. Go for it.
304-812-2183. Call me. Say we can have a nice conversation. I'll tell you everything you want to know.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you being on the Prospecting Show. Thank you so much for diving into Euphoria and the different components that you guys have. And I hope the listeners enjoyed this episode and they will reach out to you directly.
Thank you very much, Connor.